Hello everybody, my name is Ian Cook Patty Cake. I'm an author, robot, loin streamer, and today I'm also Blake Beck from my hit novel. Boom, boom, boom. Check it out. Can you tell the my hand's on her face. Can you see the resemblance? I know she's way prettier than me. But for the month of October, I'm going to attempt to dress up as some of my characters when I'm on the screen. So we're gonna see how well that works out. And today we're gonna be talking about a conspiracy theory that I feel is so dear to me. Obviously, the best video to start October with is one of conspiracy theorizing as Blake Beck, all things considered. If you want to know why, read the book. But before we get started, number one, if you enjoy what I do on this channel, please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Number two, if you would like to be featured on the channel, check out the links down in the description below with Lamoy, the monthly prompt writing contest here, and then Pitch Fit. If you have a book, just submit the first chapter and the cover there. It will be read on the channel, and hopefully more readers will go and find your content, because let's face it, getting anybody to know that you exist is like the hardest part. So there's that. And then number three, if you would like to read and or just roast the crap out of any of my books, they're available at all of your favorite retailers, or request them at your library and your library may end up carrying them. So I appreciate it so much, and I would love to hear your thoughts. I appreciate your support, and I would love to hear your thoughts on any of my books if you read them. Speaking of which, I have a new one coming out at the end of the month. Plead More, Body More, the second book in the Body More series, is going to be available October 31st. So go check it out. Read the first one. Plead More right now is on NetGalley if you want a free ARC version of it. I think there are some things that have changed since the ARC one went live. There are a couple of minute things that have changed. So with that said, let's jump into the reason why you all are here today, and that is the conspiracy between Eve the Awakening by Jenna Moreci and Empress Theresa by Norton Boutin, however you want to pronounce it. Because I read both of these books. I think we read Eve this year, or it's been almost, yeah. That was a journey. So we read Eve on the Loin stream earlier this year, and then I read Empress, oh my gosh, no, we read Eve, we read the Empress Theresa on the Loin stream too, but we read it last year. Oh, okay. So we've read these two books. They left me with some questions. They left me with some notating some similarities between mother, like some familial. They left me with notating some familial style similarities, if you know what I mean. And I would like to get your thoughts on whether or not you think that Eve from Eve the Awakening may be the daughter and or granddaughter of Empress Theresa. And it makes total sense why Empress Theresa would not be featured in Eve the Awakening in any sort of way. Because at the end of Empress Theresa basically casts her children to the world, saying they will become world leaders. She has 400 children, so clearly there are a lot of them. And then she and Steve basically go and retire, leaving their children to take over and educate the masses and regular people, because their children are superior to the normal human population. Not just physically, not just with powers, but also morally superior. So that said, first things first, let's go with the most obvious thing that points to them being related, and that is genetics. This is Empress Theresa. This is my improved cover on Empress Theresa. And Eve is described as having some lightly tan skin, you know, kind of being a California girl with the dark brown hair, or the brown hair. And I don't see how that is not derivative, genetically, from Empress Theresa. That's like the easiest thing to go for. And I know brown hair doesn't necessarily mean anything, but from the description of Eve in Eve the Awakening, which is all we have to go off of because there's no official art that I'm aware of. If you know of some official art, let me know in the comments down below. But the descriptions are close enough to be the thing. Second, alien power similarity. So Empress Theresa picks up Hal when she's just a child. Hal is just like this ball of alien energy that comes down from space, and like this fox shoots it at her, and then she's surveilled by the government for the next like 10 years. I don't remember what age she was when she started being surveilled by the government, but pretty much happens immediately. She like picks up the phone and the government's there, so like they all know what's going on. She's on a list the moment that she gets the abilities, and all of the chimeras in the future in Eve the Awakening are all on a list because they're considered dangerous. So I don't think that's a coincidence, but you've also got the similarities in the power. So Empress Theresa's power is basically limitless. All she has to do is imagine it and then like work on it, and she can do it. What it starts out as is sort of weak psychic abilities, which is not dissimilar to Eve's melting. And so you can pick stuff up, you can throw stuff, and that noise. But Empress Theresa, I almost forgot her name. Empress Theresa works so hard to develop her abilities that she mines gold, silver, helium, and a couple other chemicals out of the center of the sun. She stops the entire planet Earth from spinning. She creates geysers, basically, like waterfalls that are constantly because there's no rain since the Earth has stopped spinning. She moves the sun. Does she move the sun? She changes it so there is no winter season because she hates winter, and also because they didn't have a growing season since the Earth stopped and all of the plants died. It didn't get watered, and they were all going to die in winter. So she canceled winter so that they could have an extended growing season. She also made it so that whenever a couple of New York lawyers got into cars, the car batteries just drained. She also created 2 islands out of nothing. Well, not out of nothing. She like grabbed stuff from the bottom of the ocean and built it into 2 islands. One was for the Israelites and everyone from Israel to just move to, and the other one was for mining oil so that she could take down OPEC. So she made 2 islands. So basically, she could change matter and life psychically by thinking about it. And we spent a number of chapters with her sitting down at this board she basically made that's kind of like a chessboard, where she moved little pieces that then represented things in real life to then manipulate real life. So she changed the economy, she changed the weather, she changed the solar system, she probably brought about galactical doom by changing the structure of the universe as we know it. But she did save the world when we know that there were other Hals that came down and infected kids and people at the very end of the book, which is why Empress Theresa kind of froze everybody, forced everybody into a deep sleep so that she could go and solve the power crisis, so evil people didn't get the power of Hal into their hands, and then she had 400 children to take over and basically probably lock down those handful of other people that got those alien abilities. Her power started out as basically this psychic control that she then extended, and with Eve, I think that ability might have been lost because Empress Theresa really didn't want the insane amount of ability that she had to get into the hands of the layman. So I wouldn't be surprised if Empress Theresa, 1, didn't tell her own kids about the extent of their abilities. 2, it was very time-intensive, time-heavy in order to get that amount of power. Also, Eve is only 18 or 19 and has been without parents that have those abilities in her entire life, so why would she have the same level of extensive abilities as, say, her mother or grandmother, Empress Theresa? Okay, number 3. The interlopers came to collect their long-lost alien technology/powers. That is the Hal. The Hal that came from the universe, dropped down, thrust itself inside of Empress Theresa as a child, and gave her abilities like nobody even believed. So then the interlopers have come to Eve the Awakening. The interlopers have come to the world, and they basically consume, I think it was they consume the blood of the chimeras, which is like what Eve is with her melting abilities, so that they can get the powers of the chimeras. So that just makes sense where Empress Theresa got the alien abilities. They infiltrated her body, and the only way for the aliens to get their alien technology abilities back is to suck the blood out of the chimeras/creatures that have that ability so that they can have it instilled in themselves again, because, you know, the fox just like spewed it over, but clearly Eve and Empress Theresa are not just going to give it up. So the whole thing with the aliens trying to take the powers, it's really just them recovering the powers after these long lost battles of like having found the abilities and probably trying to fight for hundreds of years if we're that far in the future to get those abilities back. Am I making sense here? So number 4 kind of goes in with what the rant I just went on with number 2, where imagine a world where Eve she obviously teaches Jason how to use his abilities and to use them better, but imagine a world in which Eve hasn't even barely scratched the surface of her abilities. Also, we do kind of see that world because at the end of Eve the Awakening, she kind of goes crazy and just everything in the operating room is exploding, and we know that she's going to get some kind of special amazing powers, and she's just awakening and she's reviving. And so I think that we're just at the awakening of what she could have done with her full potential that Empress Theresa actually achieved. So I think that we were right there. But imagine a world in which Eve learns, oh no, she's not the greatest, most powerful Chimera in the universe, because that was one, Empress Theresa, but she's related to the greatest, most powerful in the world. So she has all of this potential. Now, by being Eve's daughter, and if all of the chimeras are one of her 400 children and or grandchildren, then that also leaves the possibility that Jason and Eve are related, but we're going to pretend that's not the case, and that's not the only case, because there were other people at the end of Empress Theresa that got those abilities, so he could have been one of the children of one of those other people that technically got frozen by Empress Theresa so they wouldn't do evil, and he and many others were not recaptured by Empress Theresa's children/grandchildren for having those abilities. Okay, so I know I'm all over the place with, this is what happens with conspiracy theories. You're like, I have to explain how these things interconnect in these two massive books in like the smallest amount of time, and you just have to like read it to get it. But also, so at the end of Empress Theresa, a bunch of Hals, which is just what Empress Theresa calls the abilities that she got from the Fox that were space abilities. A bunch of Hals fall from the sky and then just infect random people. So Empress Theresa, to stop the evil from getting out of hand, freezes time. No, well, she doesn't freeze time. She puts everybody into a forced slumber while she solves the problem. So she doesn't want them to develop their powers to the level that she has developed her powers. So you have that. Then, when she comes back, everybody slowly awakens. Empress Theresa is nowhere to be found. We're like 100 years into the future. And then she comes back down from space in like her plane or spaceship or whatever she's got. She sets forth her 400 children. She says, "You are blessed with my children. They have all the knowledge and the morals and the ethics and everything that I have, and they will guide us into world peace. Have at ye, Steve and I are going to go and retire and just have a life because I'm only 18 years old." I would 100% believe that she still looks 18 at this point. But so in the time that they were frozen, they had 400, the two of them had 400 children, and everybody is blessed with those children, which means Eve and Jason could be distant relatives and they don't know it, because these kids spread out to be leaders in different communities to make sure that things ran smoothly and to fully educate people on philosophy and culture and morality, because Eve was a good Catholic, not Eve, Theresa was a good Catholic girl, and so you've got that. But Jason easily could have been one of those other people that was kept in check by Empress Theresa. Think about it. Number 6, sure, Eve's parents died in a car crash in the book. But that doesn't tell me that they weren't adoptive parents that somehow got their hands on this chimera, because they were not explained to also be chimeras. And if Eve left her children in place with all these randos to then go and do this job, there's nothing to say, number one, the kids, Empress Theresa's kids, didn't want to give their own kids away because they were too busy on the mission of, you know, leadership of the world. And 2, those still could have been Eve's actual parents that then died in a car crash for whatever reason. But those would have been Empress Theresa's children. But would those parents have told Eve that she was the daughter or granddaughter of the Empress Theresa? I don't know. I don't know if that's something that you would really want to spread around, because clearly all of the chimeras were on a list anyway, because the government always had something against the list, or because the government always had something against Empress Theresa, partially because she was so dangerous, and obviously the chimeras are all dangerous. So, I'm sure at this point you can see where I'm coming from, how Empress Theresa and Eve from Eve the Awakening are completely related. Eve is a daughter or granddaughter of Empress Theresa. This is legit until I hear otherwise. Not a joke. This is for real serious. I don't know how you can make an argument against this. It would be so hilarious to have an Empress Theresa stand-in be in the next one. This would also explain why the Dean would be like, Eve, you are the most powerful Chimera in the universe, in the world. What she really meant was, Eve, you are an ancestor of the most powerful Chimera in the universe, Empress Theresa. So that is the end of this presentation. I know, it is insane. It is mind-altering. It is reality-altering. It is incredible. And I think we deserve a second Eve the Awakening book. Because the Duck Daddy is the daddy. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear your theories on this situation. Don't worry, I won't be mad if you're wrong, if you're absolutely wrong. With all that said, thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and don't die.
Was that Wayland Cross in the trunk? Do you know, or is that something that's still being figured out? The person in the trunk was not Wayland Cross. Is he in trouble? We don't know who did it, but as the owner of the car, the longer he's missing, the worse it looks for him. Cross isn't a killer. For the last couple of years, the average number of murders in Baltimore has been over 300, and it's been going up. Mind you, that's only whatever the badges count as official murder, and believe me, there are people that don't count when they die. Wayland? If you're down here, tell me. I'm not talking to the badges, I've been looking for you. They found a body in your trunk. Why? Did you do that? To the left. Plain black letters read along the wall, you walked in the corridor. Once that ends, you chose the dark is on the right. My vision goes blurry, flickers black and black and black for longer intervals until I can't see anything at all. I'm not screaming anymore, but my voice echoes back to me. Where the hell am I? You're dead, Josephine. Even smart people do stupid shit sometimes, right?